Hey guys, Vanny is buying a Arkhite Vanguard deck profile, so hope you guys enjoyed. We'll come subscribe, Mr. Sorry. This time we're covering DZ set 3 for Brandt Arkhite. So this is the new Arkhite deck that has come out. You know, we got the new Arkhite, we got very powerful kaiju slash monsters, and they all do their job really well. Honestly, it's one of my favorite upgrades of all time for decks. Let's go ahead and get the starter show and see what we got, because this deck is actually very fun to play. And that's saying something, because I don't like decks that deck them a lot unless they're specifically paladins. First of today, we have our energy generators. You know, it's our ride deck crest. You may have one ride deck crest in your ride deck. Auto ride deck, when you drive, put this card into your crest zone. If you want a second energy charge 3, continues to be up to 10 energy, and I'll be getting your ride phase, energy charge 3, and then act once per turn, energy blast 7, draw a card. All around pretty solid. There's only one card in this deck that actually takes up energy, and that is Arkhite herself. So there are times we're going to have that free 7 just to draw a card, which is nice. But also being able to energy charge every turn 3 times is just great, because Arkhite herself only costs 2 energy, meaning you will always be able to at least get 1+ out of your energy buff in case you are not using Arkhite at the turn, or you are using Arkhite at the turn. All around, energy generator is a very solid ride deck crest. Obviously, that's going to be our ride deck crest. Then we move on to our, units. First, we have our starter in Short Rest Arkhite, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto remote point for second draw card, standard of starter, nothing too special about it. You can really run any starter you want. Actually, I don't think you can. And now that I'm, sorry, I don't know why I'm blanking on this. I'm pretty sure you can't in this deck, because, yeah, this one requires you to specifically run the full ride line. But, I mean, you could run the Ava ride line too, because they all have the exact same skill, but I choose to run the Arkhite ride line because, A, naming convention of the grade 1, which could make the difference in very specific situations, but also just the fact of I like to follow the theme, so one of Arkhite in the ride deck. Then move on to our triggers, which we're on Over Trigger and Star Dragon, DD of Infinitude, Elder Breath, grades of boost, 50k shield, 5k power, Over Trigger in your deck. When revealed as a trigger, move that card, draw a card, choose one units. It cannot be hit till in battle, and if you're wait, sorry, I'm reading the wrong card. Choose one of your units, and it gets +1 of the turn. If you revealed it during a check, activate its additional effect. By the way, I'm not reading from a script. I've never read from a script. Okay, I'm not gonna say I've never read from a script in my life, but I don't read from a script in videos, meaning that like little tidbit I just did of the PG, that was off the dome. But anyways, being able to draw a card and get a million is great, because, it guarantees that either something's hitting that turn, someone's not getting hit that turn. But then the other effect is additional effect. If you drove check it, double the power and critical of your entire front row until the end of your turn, increasing double power critical when activated. Anyone that has played against Gravidia, or if you are me and you've played against Dayusha, knows that this is the most annoying thing in the world, because the second this is sacked on an aggro turn, it is either game or pretty much the moment that leads to game, because you probably have to drop a PG in order to live, or you just outright die to this. Either way, Elder Breath is a very solid over trigger. You can run Volna for more consistent multi-attack but then again, the Vanguard always guarantees you 5 attacks anyway, so you don't really need it, but unless you want more attacks, you could go that far. You can also run a Spoiler for recycling, but the deck already recycles enough as is. You could run the one that heals and calls stuff to rear guard, or you can run that kills rear guards and guard circle units, but I prefer Elder Breath because, yeah, if you see this, not only are you going to trigger some PTSD, but you're probably going to win the game off it too, so one of Elder Breath. And we have our normal trigger, so if you run 3 copies of Stargrass and Dragon, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, you can really make any crit you want. I don't think there's a monster crit, or if there was one, then I completely ignored it on pure accident, but yeah, so again, this can be any crit you want. Then we have 4 more crits in Patrol Robo Decker Cop, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 4k power, critical trigger, auto rear guard, and then boost to put it to soul chew on route to get 2k for the turn. All around pretty solid, you don't need the 2k a lot, but if you are spamming your soul like hell, Decker Cop being able to send itself to soul is really useful, and you want the 7 crits because A, you're attacking 5 times, B, you have a way to lower your opponent's Vanguard's power, and C, the thing that lowers your opponent's Vanguard's power is also getting extra crit, and D, your entire front row gets like good buffs throughout the game. So yeah, 7 crits is pretty nice solid for that. And then we have 4 copies of Armaletic Connector, because you have not decked enough apparently. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 4k base, continues guards, opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 plus 5 shield. So 10k shield, which is nice. It's draw checks, helps increase the hand. All around, it's a good card. I do definitely recommend Armaletic Connector, because at least the way I built this deck, it has like one of the things I don't like, where there's an excess amount of grade 3s, and by excess I mean 10, and there are some decks that I play that do fine with having 10 grade 3s, whether they're meant to play with more grade 3s or whether they're not meant to play with more grade 3s, 10 seems to be a good number. But then there are some decks, Arkhite in particular, that just so happen to die when I start running more than 7 grade 3s, because all the grade 3s flock to the hand. Now, this doesn't always happen, because thankfully the order that we have over here deck thins the grade 3s out, but the draw trigger helps get guard power in case a lot of the grade 3s ended back up in my hand. So 4 Armlet Connector, very solid draw trigger to have. Then we have 4 heals and Alterate Spirit Dragon, grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, standing heal, and a spell. You can really get any heal you want. Again, I don't think there's a monster heal, but if there is one, then run it over this. Unless it's a counter heal, heal. I honestly, if there's a monster heal and it's a counter heal, I would be 50-50 on running it because I don't like the counter heals. I don't like the fluctuating 10-25k shield, but we all know I like to stick to the R-type even if it's not worth it at all. And to be fair, I would at least debate about it. So for Volturi Spirit Dragon, again, you can run any heal you want. I just choose to run this one because I don't think there's a monster heal and I don't like counter heals. And move on to our grade 1s. First one, we have 4 copies of pretty much the most important card in the deck, Tauren Energy Research. Grade 1, set order. If set orders play, put it to your order zone. This card is absolutely free. It literally has no requirements whatsoever. Auto input into your order zone, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 2 cards with monster in their card name from among them. Put 1 of them into your hand, put the other card into your drop zone, and shuffle your deck. So pretty much top 5 search, and you deck them out 2 cards. Now the grade 1 searches this, the grade 2 searches this. You're probably going to hit a third one off of grade 3, meaning you're pretty much dropping at least 6 cards out of your deck, and at least your first 3 turns of the game, you're deck thinning out 15 cards, which is pretty solid. And then act order zone, rest this card to choose up to 1 monster card from your drop zone, put it to your order zone. All around pretty solid because you can just keep recycling your cards. It's not a once per turn, meaning if you did find a way to stand it, you could then just keep using it again and again. All around Torrential Research is just a very good grade 1 set order. It's nice to have, and it's an easy 4 of in this deck because of what it does. And also it's the reason why this deck is so annoying to fight, because the fact that you are consistently deck thinning with it is really fucking annoying. Then we move on to our normal units. First, we run 4 copies of Detonation, Meat, and Bulba Mine. Great on boost, 5 Kasho DK base. One more thing I want to say. First up, this got errata to monster, so this does actually work with Torrential Energy Research over here. But also, like, because some of the cards are in Japanese. Oh, never mind. This one already had it. I was going to say because of these cards are in Japanese, they are not going to have the English translations, but I didn't realize the fandom actually, for once, did its job and already translated them. So, yeah, never mind. Only Bulba Mine's the weird one, but Bulba Mine does fit it. I just didn't grab the errata because I didn't feel like it. Anyways, Bulba Mine, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, aka base, auto rear guard, and then about this unit boost, if your orders on the set order and put it as a soldier counter 1. All pretty solid. Literally just by riding to the grade 1, you're automatically going to get this. So you will always have a set order. It's a very good card to early grade 1 rush with because your opponent will kill it because they know resource gain is very important in Vanguard, and they know that leaving Bulba Mine of all things alive longer could end up being the thing that kills them. And being able to go into Soul to, help fix the Soul problem that these two bring about, and then also get CB back just in case you keep spamming these 3 consistently. Yeah, Bulba Mine makes for a really solid grade 1, and I do love it a lot, and it's even better the fact that it works with a monster. I feel like I have to keep saying that because it doesn't have it on just card text, but yeah, for Bulba Mine, very solid grade 1, love to have it a lot. Then we have 4 copies of Reception Monster, Wavy Lost. So, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, aka base, auto when placed on the rear guard circle. If you have a glitter with Ava in this card name, or you have a Vanguard Arkhite in this card name on your Vanguard circle, Soul Blast 2 and draw a card. All around pretty solid, and then continues to rear guard during turn. If your order zone has 3 more research cards, this unit gets 5 power. So, 13k once you hit the 3 or more resources. Again, the grade 1 and the grade 2 auto get you these, and because they're on place, that means you basically will have, all you have to do is get to grade 3, and the second you do, if you have a third order, you can play it, and this will be a 13k base. But also being able to draw a card by Soul Blasting 1 is great, because mainly your only other Soul Blaster is 4vex, and at least if you play like me, you're not going to use 4vex too much, so a lot of your souls is going to come from Wavy Loss, and that's where Bulba Mine comes from, because the Soul Blast 2 is kind of hefty. So 4 Wavy Loss, very good grade 1, helps you draw, helps get numbers, and can be placed from anywhere, meaning it's a good call target for Arkwright if you need to, because it's 13k swinger, and it does get you draws from anywhere, so 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Armor Plate Monster 4vex. Great on boost, 5k shield, aka base, contains guard circle. If your order zone has 2 or more research cards in it, this unit gets 5,000 shields, 10k shield, which is very nice. I never use this effect simply because 4vex always ends up in my energy, or not my energy zone, it ends up in my order zone, and then I just never call it out. Or like if I do call it out, I call it out to the front row as a swinger, meaning it will never get bounced to hand through its second effect, meaning I will never be able to use that guard power skill. But then its other effect, which is something I learned that can proc on grade 1 and 2, which makes this even better for me. Auto rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted if you have a Vanguard Arkhite in its card name, Soul Blast 1, bounce the card to hand. The important part to note is, you can, early game rushes, and you can tell this deck was built by me, because it has a bunch of grade 1s. Basically, I love to early game rush. If you see a deck have a bunch of grade 1s, there's a 9 out of 10 there's a 9 out of 10 chance I either mained that deck or I built that deck. And, well, 4vex is in it, being able to early game rush your opponent at grade 1 with like Bulba Mine spam, maybe even set up a 4vex, and then your opponent they go to grade 2, they maybe try to push you back, or they just try to even out the damage, then you draw, you move your units back, you call to the front row, you boost with 4vex, at the end of that battle you boost it, you Soul Blast 1 to bounce this, and now you probably do have the 2 research cards, one from the grade 1 turn that this was placed, and then one from the grade 2 turn that just happened, and now you have guard power to go off with, and also just a consistent bouncer in case you want to use it. All around 4vex is a very solid grade 1 to have. I love it a lot. It does really well in the offensive category, so 4 4vex. As they say, best offense is good defense. Then move on to our PG and our last grade one on the main deck. And that'll be 4 copies of Planet Wall Dragon, grade 1 boost, 0 shows, K base, contain Sentinel. You have to 4 Sentinels in deck and also put on guard to choose one of you. It cannot be hit on the battle. If your hand is 2 more cards in it, choose a card from the standard PG. Nothing too specified. It basically means that this only one of the cards in your hand would place it on guard circle. You don't have to go great, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game. Again, I say, you can tell the deck was built by me with the amount of grade 1s we have. And then when your opponent eventually counterattacks you, throw down this. You don't have to discard one because you already have a low amount of hand cards, and you're safe. You can run any PG you want. There is a monster PG. The reason why I didn't add the monster PG is, while yes, it fits the theme, it's the opposite of why I don't run the stealth, or it's the opposite of the reason why I run the stealth PG in Shoujo Doji, and that's because Shoujo Doji can add the PG to the hand. Arkwright, at most, can just put it into the order zone. The only card that can bounce back to hand is this boy. So, 4th Planet Wall, because even though I'm not going to get the consistent search out of it, it's not like it's going to do anything anyways, and I already have all, like, the deck already consistently gets enough of its cards into the order zone, especially thanks to the new Arkhite, so 4th Planet Wall. If you want to run the PG, go ahead. I just choose to run Planet Wall because that. Also, I'm just too lazy to go grab the PG. That's literally it. I do not feel like it, so 4 of. Then we have our last group on the deck, one of in the right deck, none in the main deck, of Searching for Monstrous Souls, Arkhite, grade 1 boost, 5k show, deck base, auto replaced by writing for a moment of rest, Arkhite, search after one resource card reveal, put your hand shuffle deck. Again, the entire grade 1 line, or sorry, the entire line for Ava and the entire line for Arkhite do the exact same thing in terms of like searching an order when they're placed. The only difference is like they just require different units for it. But the reason why I do suggest you run the Arkhite line is because if worse comes to worse, it's never happened to, okay, it happened once, but that was more of on the lines of I chose to do it that way and I knew what I was getting into by doing it that way, so more of like purposeful misplays. But anyways, if you end up getting in a situation where you have a lack of monsters for whatever reason, you bricked, you saw triggers, you barely are hitting monsters off the skill of this order for some reason, so you have to Soul Blast this out and put it into your order zone, you call it because it's a monster. So it can be put into the order zone via this, and it can be called via Arkwright skill, meaning you have an extra booster or attacker. Is this ideal? No, far from it. But is this a backup option in case everything goes to shit? Yes, and if you're gonna run the ride line anyways that searches research cards, you might as well run the Arkwright ride line, since all it does just add that little bit extra security and it literally changes nothing. So 1 of Arkwright in the ride deck, none in the main deck. Then move on to our grade 2s, 4 copies of Thunderclaw Monster Lagara, grade 2 and 5 Kishio Tenga. Base, this thing looks like it was ripped right out of Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I swear, that reminds me of the first episode of Power Rangers Dino Thunder. One of my 2 favorite Power Rangers series, second favorite actually, the first one being Jungle Fury. I will die on that hill. Anyways, auto rear guard when these 2 attacks are grade 3 grade Vanguard. If your order zone is a research card in it, plus 5 in power for that battle. Cool, 15k swing as long as you have 1 research, and then auto rear guard and the attack anything. If you have a grade 3 grade Vanguard Arkwright's card and kills you and draw a card. Cool. Opens up rear guard circles that you're going to call 2 anyways for Arkwright, and then you get free hand cards out of it to help replace it, and normally going to draw will be a bad thing, but considering the fact that Arkwright alone can recycle your stuff, I'm saying this right now, you can go through like 6 cards in your order zone in one go, and I promise you, with the way this deck is consistent, unless you are actively going through every single card in your order zone, you are going to be able to get all of them back. So you're basically not minusing for getting numbers. 4 of Lagara, very good grade 2, 15k swing, kills itself, draws you a card, what's not to like. Then we have a last grade 2 in the deck, one of them in the red deck, none in the main deck, of Guardian of the Slumbering Arkwright, or Sleeping Protector Arkwright. I always forget to change the name too, I'm just lazy. Anyways, grade 2 and 5 Kishio, 10k base, auto when placed by writing from the specified grade 1. Shuffle to 1 research card, reveal, put your hand, shuffle your deck. All around, very solid. Again, you can run the Arkwright line, you can run the Ava line, but considering they both do the exact same thing, except the Arkwright line gives you that little bit more of consistency, even if it's just by barely in very specific situations, you're going to want to go for the Arkwright line because it gives you more consistency, granted in very specific situations, but in case those situations come up, you'd rather have them than not have them, especially when it changes literally nothing else. So, take it as you will. 1 of this in the right deck. Then we move on to our grade 3s. 3 copies of Volcano Monster Gogateri. Grade 2, you turn that persona right, 13k base. Auto when placed on rear guard, so kind of one choose opponent's rear guard with grade equal to or less than the number of research card in your order zone, kill it. Okay, I always hated this card. Now, partially because of that effect. The reason why I hated this card is because the only thing that actively interacts with the the only things that interact with the monsters in your order zone are the 2 Arkwrights and the order. That's it. And frankly, until this thing was released, none of them required them to be placed by abilities by Arkwright. And granted, still none of the rear guards actually interfere with the order zone in any way, shape, or form or care about it. But I found it annoying how the deck could like still, even back before the new Arkwright, it could still get a good amount of monsters in there. I felt like it should always have done monsters in the order zone, but I guess it still wanted to do the researches anyway, so I make it applicable with Ava. And then this goes auto rear guard when it swings. If your order zone has 3 more research cards, plus 5 power for that battle. Okay, 18k swing. That one's the only one that's not guaranteed because, you know, you're not going to get a third order search, but you get at least 2 of them, so you'll probably hit the third one at some point. And again, Counterboss 1 to at least kill a grade 2 or less. That's pretty solid. So Gokatera is a very solid grade 3. The reason why he's not at 4 is because the deck can search him. Also, I value this thing a lot more, and speaking of which, 4 copies of Light Ray Monster Revalius. So if we take a look at Arkwright, this is the monster in the background. If we take a look at the OG Arkwright, which I don't have with me right now, it's also in the background. And this thing is absolutely badass. This is how you make a background support card really good. Anyways, grade 3 temperature 13k base. Auto and place on rear guard by the ability of Vanguard Arkwright in its card name. It'll get auto rear guard when it attacks into anything. Counter boss 1, choose an opponent's Vanguard, make it lose 5k for that turn until the end of the turn. And then if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit also gets 10k and a crit for the turn. So, you know, by swinging into a grade 2, as long as it was called by Arkwright, by swinging into a grade 2, minus 5k. And then if they hit grade 3 or greater, this motherfucker who dropped them, let's just say they didn't hit a trigger. Let's just say they guarded the entire turn so far. Or they did take an attack, but they didn't see a trigger, so like they're a 13k base. You swing with Revalius, use the skill after it was called by an effect. The Vanguard goes down from 13 to 18k, or not 18, 8k. And then on top of that, this motherfucker, who already had 13k, becomes a 23k double crit, which is a 20k drop on, like, the 4th attack of the turn. Oh, and then Bushy casually shoved this effect at the bottom, which I didn't even know existed the first time I played it, because normally they don't shove effects like that at the bottom. Continuous rear guard, this card cannot be chosen by card effects. Your opponent's card effects. So your opponent can't choice murder, so they can't, like, Verena pop it from Nirvana. They can Baz Vergrod pop it, because Baz Vergrod just says hit the front row. But yeah, this thing can't be chosen by card effects. So, Revalius is a near invincible monster that can, both pun intended and both pun not intended, that can just drain your opponent's power. Granted, only once per turn, but in a deck that can then murder this thing and then cycle it back with either her or this, and I guarantee you will almost always be able to get 6 cards back from your drop zone every turn, and then, you know, be able to call it again, and then have the ability to get your counterblast back against the bone mine over here. Yeah, this thing is absolutely busted. Bushy knew what they were doing. They did a great job. I think all of us can agree for Revalius. Let me have that was grade 3 in the deck. Okay, listen, I didn't like Arkwright because she just felt, I don't know, she felt like counterintuitive because she bot decked the monster so you couldn't get them back, and, you know, she didn't really feel like she supported the deck that much. She felt like she was supported more by the deck because she wanted to have monsters in the order zone, but she did nothing to get them, only stuff to get them out of there. And then with this one singular skill, not only did they fix that problem, but then they made the other problem non-existent, and then finally they just made the other skill better. So, Innocent Monster in Paradise Arkwright. Girl is anything but fucking innocent. Grade 3, Twin Drive, Persona Ride, 13k base, continuous Vanguards, also regards Monster Creator Arkwright. You know, you can do the whole Persona Ride thing that the Youthberg and Dredrewd and Leonore Childex could, but you're not going to anyways because it's a waste of time. Act Vanguard, once per turn, Energy Blast 2. You will literally always have this. The only card in the deck that Energy Blast outside of the Energy Generator, and the Energy Generator literally always gets you 3 a turn. You are never not going to be able to use this skill if you need to. Choose up to any 3 cards with monster in their card name from your drop zone, put them in the order zone. Put herself, put this thing, put this thing, put this thing, put this thing if you need to, put this thing, put this thing, put this thing. Literally put anything you want into that order zone. Then, auto, Vanguard. When your rear guard monster in his card name is placed, bot deck a card, not bot deck, sorry. Put a card with the same card name as that unit from your order zone to the drop zone, and that unit gets tons of power. So, you know, here's what I normally like to do. I like to just base it, sometimes, most of the time it's just this. I'll ditch all of them for ride deck, and then I'll use this, or, actually, I'll try to use, if I have 3 of these on access, I'll use them to not bot deck, put them in the order zone, then I'll call the last one from hand. I'll put that one in the drop zone, plus 10k. I'll then just call out a bunch of cards that I was setting up for the order zone via Tora Energy, and then after I send a bunch of stuff to drop zone, I'll Arkwright, and I'll get the ones that I need most important back, and typically, I only lost 3, at most 4 from this. Like, at most in a turn, you go through 5 to 7, and at most you are only losing about 2. So take that as you will. So free 10k to a bunch of boards, and you're only losing 2 cards out of it, which you can then just fetch back next turn. And then auto Vanguard. When she attacks into a Vanguard, CB1, choose up to 2 cards of monster from the different cards from your order zone, call them to rearguard circle. Okay, I guarantee you right now, the only reason this says 2 different card names is because if it didn't, that means you could spam this thing down. And by the way, if you think Bulbamine is the only monster countercharger, I'm pretty sure, and if I'm wrong, then I'm pretty sure people would still run it anyways just because it would be worth it. There's another monster grade 1 that is on boost if the attack hit countercharge 1. I'm pretty sure that's a monster, and if it's not, then I'm pretty sure people would still run it anyways because arguably it would be worth it to get like the double minus with double criticals. So yeah, Arkhite is insane. Persona Ride if you really want it with the old one. It literally just recycles your drop zone. It is free numbers on steroids, and it is multi-attack out the wazoo with this thing existing. So yeah, innocent is not the right word for her. I would say the devil on steroids. 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. This literally fixed all the problems I had with Arkhite before. And without further ado, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Honestly, yeah, this deck is fun. I think if we go back to like either the first deck profile I had of this or the second deck profile, I said that I didn't really like it very much, unless I was doing my normal thing where I just kind of like hype it up. That is the thing where I will hype up things even if I don't like them, but most of the time I do like them. There's just like the few occasions. But yeah, no, this one card fixed it. Like, they could have just not given us any of these guys and I would have been fine because she fixes all of the problems that I had with the OG Arkhite. And then they gave us this. I don't really care too much about these two. I mean, cool, we have grade 1 rush and we have good grade 2. I like the other grade 2 more, the one that like when it enters the order zone +5. Because I also wasn't a once per turn and think about spamming that with her. But nah, this boy right here. This boy and her together. Bushy. Listen. We don't need to commit genocide now. So without further ado, I'm going to end this one here. I hope you all enjoyed. I don't know what we're covering in the next one, as I keep saying in all the deck profiles so far. I don't know how these are going to be uploaded. Everything that was supposed to happen immediately went wrong. So I don't know if this is going to be second. I don't know if it's going to be third. I don't know if it's going to be 15th. We'll see. So either way, I'm Asma here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, comment, subscribe, join Switch, and I'll see you all soon to set up your vanguards.